We're live, Devin.
Is it done? Okay. All right, everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining the Hudson 7 Drinking Water Council's hybrid monthly meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 8th. My name is Devin Rigolino. I am Dutchess County's Environmental Program Director and Vice Chair of the Hudson 7. Our chair is with us tonight, but he's joining remotely, so I'll be running the meeting in his absence, in his physical absence. Hudson 7 hybrid meetings will be live streamed on the Hudson 7's YouTube channel. The public is advised to subscribe to this channel. Our in-person meetings occur at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility located at 70 Waterworks Road in Poughkeepsie, New York. Public comment is allowed both in person and remotely. Please visit our website to learn how you can provide public comment by visiting www.hudson7.org and visit the meeting page. In attendance tonight is myself on behalf of Dutchess County, and to my left,
Dan, excuse me, Dan Shapley, Riverkeeper, Technical Advisor.
Liz Mosquito, Town of Hyde Park.
Jonathan Churns, Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority.
Stu Weiss, Town of Lloyd.
Ann Shushin, Town of Poughkeepsie.
Donnie DeMilly, Poughkeepsie's Water Treatment Facility, Administrator, Technical Advisor.
and on the screen we have Gary,
Good evening, Gary Bassett, Mayor Villager Rhinebeck and Chair of the Hudson 7.
Paul,
Paul Malmrose, Engineering Technical Advisor.
Eric,
Eric Weinstock, Technical Advisor. I'm from Hyde Park.
Rebecca,
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator, Consultant.
John,
John Lipscomb, Advisor.
Anna,
Anna Boutsikaris, New York State DEC Hudson River Estuary Program, helping with the DWSP2 implementation.
and Ryan.
Good afternoon, Ryan Sharp, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie.
Okay, and we do have a quorum. So hopefully everyone had a chance to review the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the June 10th, 2026 minutes.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion, edits, requests for the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of adoption?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes adopted. We are skipping the treasurer's report this month as we don't have an update from the bank. And now we'll hand it to Rebecca for Source Water Protection Coordinator's June report.
Hi, everybody. I have submitted my June 2026 report of the work that I've done. Are there any questions? Have you all had a chance to review?
Yes.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do you want to just take it over for communication then?
Sure. So there was an update from the Hudson River Watershed Alliance from June of 2026 and a link to that update in both your agendas and the public's agenda. Hudson 7 highlights. The Hudson 7 created a blog post of a meeting summary with the Hudson River Black River Regulating District and Salt Front Modeling Team. Paul Melmrose's presentation from the June council meeting.
Right. Welcome, folks.
Uh-oh. Maybe everybody should mute. Thank you. I linked our follow-up letter to Common Sense's Hudson Valley based on their request. New York sewage pollution right to know. So there was a recent sewage discharge in Westchester, Yonkers on July the 3rd due to a power outage. The weather conditions there, Yonkers plant lost power due to high heat and humidity and were unable to transfer power over to generators. The discharge duration was 17 hours with a total of 39 million gallons of sewage estimated to be discharged that was partially treated with disinfection. And I don't know if Dan or others have more to say about that, but there's a link just to the state's right to know. Not the actual report on the specific condition.
Yeah, I mean, I can say we don't know a lot more yet than what was in the sewage right to know report that Rebecca quoted from. So it's certainly, high on Riverkeeper's list to know what failed, how it can be fixed so it doesn't fail again. Why there were some resiliency improvements after Hurricane Sandy knocked out this plant and many others. And so what needs to be done to make it resilient? And then really the other thing we've been emphasizing as we've been talking about this is just that there are combined sewers in Yonkers, as there are in Poughkeepsie, Kingston, Newburgh, closer to us, and they discharge every time it rains. And so while this is a huge volume all at once, we also see this kind of thing every time it rains. So we need to solve both those problems if we want to keep untreated sewage out of the river. So a couple of things. I think, my assumption is that this discharge, as big as it was, is so far from us on the tide, even, it's not going to be something that I would expect you would see any hint of in your data, or affect your treatment. So I don't know, Dottie, I assume you haven't seen any changes. Yeah.
I agree.
So it's a bad thing, but probably not a big impact on the Hudson sediment. And I will say the county still has an advisory not to swim, which I also question. I doubt that the water today is still probably showing the impact, but so that's another open question. While I've got the mic, I'll just also say Riverkeeper ended up providing a comment on the common senses development that we all discussed in 2007. So just for awareness, that was on the scoping. So those scoping comments focused on potential stormwater impacts, making sure they're studied, Crum Elbow Creek impacts, so just so there's awareness. I'm happy to share that letter.
Yes, please. That'd be great. Thank you. And I'll remind you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for doing that, Dan. There's many reports on the recent sewage discharge. So there's one here at the time that we were putting this together from the New York Times. Sewage spills into Hudson River after power failure at treatment plant. New York River Watch has put out a blog post. New York State DEC has published the rule, new regulations for leachate treatment. And so there is a blog post regarding that. The organization, along with Hudson 7 and many other coalition partners, Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson, Clearwater, and others, requested an additional 30 calendar days to the public comment period. We've received 60. We're hoping for 90. Our letter asks actually for 100 at this point because it's a little more than 60. All that information is in your agenda. New York State seeker regulatory changes. For any of you who are following, and Paul also shared some information, but we are sharing with council members a recent webinar that Riverkeeper and Catskill Mountain Keeper held publicly that helps the public to understand the recent changes to the seeker regulations. And Drew Gamels, the senior attorney at Riverkeeper, created a really helpful chart on the final seeker reforms in the executive budget for guidance. And then finally, there was an article in the paper about Rhinebeck Village upgrades to water sewer plants near completion in the Daily Freeman that we're sharing. That's great news, Gary. And I'll continue in terms of upcoming meetings and events. The only one that I'm aware of is Hudson PCB's, the Community Advisory Group, is scheduled to meet on August the 13th from 1 to 4. Devin attends on behalf of Dutchess County, and Randy and Dottie attend when they can. I've signed up for this one as well. I'll be around in August. And that's it for communications and meetings and events. And there's no public comment this month, Devin.
Thank you. And I just want to welcome Andy's here. He's joined us as well.
I'm sorry, did you just say that Andy Bicking is here from Ulster County?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so that moves us to old business. So we had a couple things that we tabled from last month. John, you're on here next with the Coast Guard Area Contingency Plan.
Yeah, there's nothing much to report there. Two reasons. One is that it's the change of the guard at the Coast Guard. So the new captain of the port is coming on now. the second reason is that they had their hands overly full with the July 4th situation. So everybody in the Coast Guard went to ground. As far as next steps there, the new captain of the port is starting, as I said. The U.S. Coast Guard is having a reception to welcome the new captain of the port, whose name right now escapes me, I'm sorry, on July 20th. And I've been invited to attend, which I will do because we want to honor that new captain and establish a good working relationship with her. And then there's an area committee meeting in August on the 12th. And at that point, we'll pick up again with these subcommittees on spill prevention and response. We'll also get the name of the new vessel traffic coordinator. And I want Nick, especially in Esopus, to have that name so that when we see a vessel anchored off Esopus, as you all remember, the Kingston hub, as they call it, is their a very desirable anchorage for industry because it's just south of the narrow reaches that continue up to Albany. So basically, we're setting up to do more now that the new administration at the Coast Guard is starting up.
Thanks, John. Any questions on the area contingency plan? Do you want to continue with Central Hudson, next agenda item?
Yeah. So we had a couple of things here, and I didn't organize them in time sequence, but as you recall, last year the coal tar started coming up in the fall. Once the water had warmed up and the sediments had warmed up, and the coal tar, this is all our assumption that the coal tar softened enough to mobilize. We have had now 2 reports. One was in early June, and the other was on the 30th of June, where we saw significant coal tar. Rebecca has all the images. We had a call that Gary scheduled with the DEC, and we made the ask that a sheen containment boom be deployed. For context there, you may recall that we had sheens last year. Central Hudson and DC unofficially proposed via a phone call with Gary that they might put a bubbler on the bottom, a system of bubblers on the bottom. And Rebecca, there's one picture from the Clearwater batch that's much more dramatic. We said that we didn't like the bubbler idea because dilution is not the solution to pollution. We keep saying that, but we keep doing it. And what we don't want is to solve the visible problem of coal tar and just mix it into the water column, which isn't good for drinking water. It isn't good for anybody. So we asked for a boom. And as precedent, we pointed out and had diagrams of the boom that they deployed in 2020 when they experimented with a dredging methodology. And the boom at that time was called a sheen mitigation boom or something to that effect. So the design is already there. Implementation has happened already once. I remember that's a good one. That's the best photo. So it's not something that needs to be designed. It's not something that needs to be, they already have a contractor that they picked once. Theoretically, they could pick that contractor again. So all this delays that are cited in terms of procurement and design and all of that is unnecessary because basically we're asking them to do again what they did once before. The response from DC at the time was, during our call, was that they would discuss the boom request with Central Hudson. And we have scheduled, Gary pushed a little bit, which was nice, and said we'll check back on the 20th. And see what you have to say. We were stressing a little bit that we didn't really want the DEC, and I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. We didn't really want the DEC to ask Central Hudson if they would like to set up a boom. We suggested that the DEC order them to set up a boom. Because I should also add that when part of our question to the DEC during this most recent call was, when are we going to finally have a cure design approved and put in place? This has been a pollution source for over mid 1900s. If this was a boatyard, if this was an industry, we would have been on it all decades and decades ago. Now, we understand it's a tough spot to remediate, but nonetheless, it has to be done. And it should now be done. So we said, DEC, when can you tell us that you will have a plan and order it to be implemented? And they said, well, it's going to take at least 2 years from this point. So we said, all the more reason to have a boom. And the boom only has to be deployed when the sediment is warm. You're not going to have to worry about a boom that can stand up to ice. So you can set it up this year, set it up next year, and then we're going to do the job the following year. That's what we asked for. So we'll see what comes back on the 20th when we communicate with them. But also we have, riverkeeper vessels are going to be on the lookout for product. I've talked to some boaters that operate out of Poughkeepsie Ramp, so they'll be helping us look for product. But the river is still warming dramatically, and so we'll see what happens. I think that's it. Is that solved? Does that cover it, Rebecca?
John, this is Gary. I'd like to make just a couple comments. Thank you for covering that so well. And we did press really hard with DEC to really continue. Our focus was on short term and long term. Right. Our short term is, and we know it's not the fix, but was the boom, and to get that deployed immediately while we continue to work with them on the long term. We don't want them to take their eyes off of either one of those situations, and that was our focus.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question? Did we ever ask the DEC for an explanation of the bubbler and why they feel the bubbler would be the way to go as opposed to the boom?
Gary will have to answer that because that was a phone call.
Yeah, so Eric, that was an experiment they wanted to try. It wasn't proposed as a cure for doing everything, but what they wanted to do with the bubbler was to basically mix things up within the river, and so it dissipates and then flows out. We rejected that. We said the bubbler was not a good solution and would not be effective for either the short term or the long term, and they didn't dispute that. So
they didn't try to defend the use of the bubbler, because I imagine some engineer, either at Senhud or their contractor, the contractor, AECOM, must have come up with that, and I'm wondering what their response is to defending the bubbler.
Yeah, they really didn't have one, Eric. They didn't mount a defense. Let's put it that way.
Eric, we may hear that when we talk to them on the 20th. But the bubbler was what they were addressing was the visual sheen. And they were suggesting that the bubbler would break up these blebs of coal tar as they come up, so they wouldn't be as significant as unified, because the stuff sticks together until it hits the surface and then it sheens out. So I guess the theory was that they would break it up and it would be less visible event. But the problem with the coal tar, from Hudson 7's point of view and the river's point of view, of course, is that it's not that we see it, it's that it's there and it's in the water.
You're saying that it dissolves into the water, it doesn't evaporate into the atmosphere with the bubbles.
The bubblers would theoretically break up these blebs, these little these little balls of liquid coal tar into
Right.
much smaller pieces so that it wouldn't be visible when it got to the surface.
Right. And it would, so Eric, it would still be there.
It would still be in the water, but
Generally, the DEC doesn't tell you what mechanism to put out. They tell you there's a problem, tell us how you plan to fix it.
then they have to approve the plan.
Right.
So I can
Right, but
share
they usually
I
don't tell you which technology to use. They say, you have a problem, tell us how you're going to correct it.
Why don't we go back and look at the presentation that Central Hudson provided to us back in 2021 on the air bubble curtain? So we did get a whole overview of it, but it was a long time ago. So I don't mind resubmitting it, but you can also go to our website and look at our report, our 7 campaigns, and there are links to all of that there if you want it before I send it.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca.
Well,
And
I
Eric,
mean,
just let me
if
just
we've
say
already
too
gone
that,
around with this, if you want to go ahead and ask for the boom, that's fine. I'm just wondering if we fully explored the solution that they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
But it
and I
sounds like
think,
you've already discussed it.
yeah, and I think we're going to hear more, as John said, about the bubbler, but the issue is, it's still, it didn't, we're after remediation. We're not after
Yeah,
breakup, we're
but
after
this
remediation.
is more of an interim remedial measure. This isn't the final remedy. The final remedy is going to come as the process proceeds. They're coming up with a plan. It's in the works.
Right. The bubblers are not an intermediate. They are a cosmetic interim plan.
Right, but it's not the final solution.
Right.
They're
But
still working on the final.
cosmetic isn't the issue. And so while not seeing the coal tar on the surface at the waterfront has its benefits, it's not the same as removing the coal tar from the river. And the boom with absorbent boom on the inside would actually capture
Right.
the coal tar, whereas the bubblers would just mix it into the water column for drinking water intakes to capture or fish to consume. So the bubbler being a cosmetic fix, I'm not saying it well, but the bubbler being a cosmetic fix was not suitable, we felt.
I just want to say that I believe, and I'm not prepared to share all this tonight. I could have been. Next month I certainly could, but I believe that the boom came out of our conversations about the bubbler for these very reasons, as I recall. This has
Yeah.
been going on with Central Hudson, Eric, since 2018, starting
Right,
with the
so
pool and all of that. So why don't I get you what you're asking? We can review it and have a substantive conversation about it, having reviewed the past materials. That'll
okay.
answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, John. Rebecca, if you're ready, we can move on to CSX.
Yes, so we're the committee, the members of the DWSP2 committee have been met with Maurice O'Connell earlier this year, and we provided Maurice with a list of questions, and we're following up now. He's ready to meet, but the the summer holiday season has been challenging to set up a follow-up meeting, but we're still working on that. I would imagine by mid to end of August, we'll have had our second meeting with Maurice. Also, CSX has been invited to events of the U.S. Coast Guard. John could speak a little bit more to that, but already there's some action in helping to make those connections as it pertains to the Hudson 7, that collaboration. So that's great already, that there's some invitations and communications that might be slightly different than what has occurred before. And that's the update on CSX.
Thank you.
And I would like to just add, going back to the bubblers, Eric, if you would like to talk offline where you're not pressed for time, I'd be happy to talk to you about the situation at your convenience.
Okay. it sounds like a lot of this predates my tenure on the Hudson 7.
But I'll get you all that so you have it, and then you could follow up with John. That would be good.
It would be a pleasure, Eric. So no problem at all. Don't be shy.
Okay.
And Eric, to continue putting you on the spot, do you have any updates you want to talk about with the Fire Training Center?
Yes, I do. We finally got a report from the DEC. And first, Rebecca, I sent you a draft of a letter that I prepared. I don't know if you saw that in the email.
Would you like me to share that instead?
Have you had a chance to distribute that to everyone?
No.
Okay. Well, we did get the remedial investigation report, and they summarized 3 rounds of field investigations. And there is quite a bit of PFAS at the site. I don't know, is it possible to call up the letter that I sent you? Can we put that on the screen?
Absolutely. Why don't you continue while I'm looking?
Okay. There is quite a bit of PFAS in the shallow soil around a surface water basin that was used. And that surface water impoundment, the water in there also has a lot of PFAS in it. They used AFFF firefighting foam, and these are residues of the historical use of that.
Eric, I'm sorry, I don't see your letter here. Did you send it from your email address,
yeah,
personal, or from your Hyde Park email? Sorry to.
Weinstock 65.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
The shallow groundwater at the property is an overburden aquifer, and the wells that they put in there have very high levels of PFAS. And they say that the Fallkill is a gaining stream, which means that the stream gets water from the groundwater feeds the stream. And early on in the investigation, they sampled a number of different points within the Fallkill stream, and there were detections of PFAS in the stream. What they've done is, for the soil, they used the soil standards that the DEC has for PFAS. And then for groundwater, they used the Class GA standards, which are the drinking water standards. But for the Fallkill, they're using a different standard. They're using the Class B, because they said it's a recreation and fishing stream. So they're using a much higher standard for PFAS. The Class GA standard for PFAS is 2.7 nanograms per liter. That's for drinking water. But for the Class B stream, the same compound, it's 160,000 nanograms per liter. So I think the report does merit a response. Are you having any
No,
luck?
I don't see it in our mailbox. That's
Do you want
why
me?
sure, you can. You want to forward it to me real quick?
Okay.
Oh, wait, Jonathan did.
Rebecca, I sent you the draft.
Yes, the draft.
Here it comes. Thank you, Jonathan.
Eric, when is this letter due? When's the comment due?
I would say we definitely have till the end of the month. They're supposed to send out a fact sheet with this report. The fact sheet hasn't come yet. So
Okay.
I would say for sure we have till the end of the month.
They
So
haven't
the first page
announced a comment deadline at this point. Is that right?
they didn't issue a date for a comment deadline.
Okay,
And
great.
they also still have, I've asked them to submit a fact sheet, which is supposed to have that information.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Let me open the letter itself.
Can you call up the second page of the letter?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. I had to download it. One moment. Can you see that?
Yes. Yeah, so in section 2.2 of the report, where they talk about regional geology and hydrogeology, they don't mention anywhere that the Fallkill drains into the Hudson and that the Hudson River is a major drinking water source for the upper Hudson Valley. That should definitely be discussed. And for the standards, criteria, and guidance, I just explained before that for groundwater, they're using the Class GA standard, but for the stream right next to the aquifer, they're using the Class B standard, which is 160,000 nanograms per liter. So it's a Class B stream, but it drains into a drinking water reservoir, which is the Hudson River. So I think that they should perhaps reconsider that standard.
Sure.
There are wells in the area, supply wells in the area, but they don't mention anything about doing a well survey of the wells surrounding the site, and if an alternate supply was provided to those dwellings or businesses, or if they put any on-site treatment on those. And then under the fish and wildlife, they don't mention that the New York State Department of Health has issued a don't eat advisory for any fish caught in the Fallkill. There's the Fallkill Creek, but also there's a dam here. So the creek actually forms a reservoir where a lot of people go fishing. So I think in light of this notice from the health department, somebody should put signs up somewhere that the popular fishing spots to not eat the fish. And then when they come, the recommendation that they come up with is to prepare a feasibility study. But I think we definitely want the feasibility study to include long-term surface water monitoring in the Fallkill. And if they start seeing increases in PFAS concentrations in the Fallkill, that they have some contingency plan to do something about it before large slugs go out to the Hudson and maybe threaten the water intake points. And then the last point is they did a fish and wildlife impact analysis, but the version that they attached to the report is illegible. It's all wingdings and gobbledygook. You can't read it, so they should reissue that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
No, I'm sorry. I was just making a joke. This sounds like great comments to me. I'll say it seems like you hit on a lot of important elements. I would say I'd like our science director, Shannon, Shannon, to also
Yes.
review and maybe provide, some any additional comments. But I'll say
That would be great. I would love that. I would love that.
It's like a great incisive, read of the plan and some very good comments. So I definitely think it's something the council should, maybe authorize finalizing it with the vote, so that if the comment period comes up before the next meeting, you can put these thoughts on the record.
Can I ask a
Dan,
clarifying
thank you.
question? Sorry, Eric. So
Yes.
this letter was never sent to the Hudson 7 email. It looks like it was a draft and you were preparing to send it. Is your intention for there to be a letter that is?
I thought I had emailed it to you, Rebecca, to send around because I wanted
No,
to
I
make
didn't.
sure that you sent it around to, because you have the
Yeah.
distribution list. So can you send this letter around? Can you send it to everybody?
So my question is the intention here to create a letter that it's a collaborative letter?
Yes,
or
absolutely, yes.
So it's Hudson 7,
Yes.
Town of Hyde Park for the CAC. What is your?
Well, this is another question. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Because that's another question I have is I think that the Hudson 7 should comment on this because it could potentially impact water intakes that are concern of the Hudson 7. But what I'm thinking is that maybe the Hudson 7 isn't as concerned about the fish in the Fallkill because it's not really under our domain as the Hudson 7, but the town of Hyde Park is concerned of that. And also the Fallkill Watershed Alliance would be interested in that. So I'm wondering which is better, one letter with all three of those groups or three separate letters? Any thoughts on that?
Eric, I was going to comment. My thought was that we as the Hudson 7 should respond to these findings and really just focus on the drinking water aspect of it.
Yeah.
The Hudson River.
Yes.
So maybe a separate letter from the town of Hyde Park that addresses the fish as well.
And the
would be in
wells.
order.
And the wells.
And the wells.
Yeah.
And then also the Fallkill Watershed Alliance. So maybe three letters. Yes, John.
Hi, Jonathan Churns, Water Authority. Just a quick note that the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority owns the Hyde Park water system. We are expanding, we're in the design phase to bring water to Greenfield, passing by the Fire Training Center, a Superfund site, and we're looking to serve this area. We haven't created a zone of assessment yet, but we're getting requests for service. And there are two manufactured home parks in that area. One, I believe, has point of use filters for PFAS, and the other is information I picked up later than we last spoke, Eric. And then the other manufactured home park is having difficulties with their current installation. So we're looking to communicate with them also, but we're looking to bring water into that area, address the fire training center for drinking water, fire protection, and then the adjacent properties. So just to say,
So somebody's put treatment systems on the wells in that area?
in the Willow Tree manufactured home park, our understanding is that there may be point of use filters installed at the dwellings. I don't have that for a fact, but that's what our understanding at this point.
But shouldn't that have been in the report?
I'll give you what data I have later. I think I might have just sent you a text message.
Yeah.
We're what's there as you are, and we want to also use this information so we can seek more grant dollars to make this affordable for these communities.
So then does the county also address this? Another letter?
I think Water Authority may, and
That's
we can also talk to the county. Yeah, the Dutchess County is separate from the County Water, so we'll talk to Devin.
Yep.
Gary, do you want to make a motion for the water?
Yeah, I'd like to make, well, as I said before, I'd like to make a motion that the Hudson 7 respond to this draft letters said by the CAC to outline the aspects of the impact to the Hudson River as a source of drinking water.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes. So the process is, Eric, are you willing to write a draft letter on behalf of just the Hudson 7 in your role as technical advisor? And then
Yes.
if so, thank you. Thanks for all your work on this. And then who needs to see it also to make any additions? Who's working on this with Eric? Just so that
Right now, I've prepared a draft and I forwarded to Jonathan, who was kind enough to give it a once through before this meeting because I know he has a lot of history in the area here. I also sent it to Carrie, who's on the CAC with me.
Okay.
And I'm waiting to get comments from her, but I'll see her next Wednesday at the next CAC meeting.
So just I didn't see this letter until today, and so I'm just making sure this is all Hudson River related, and therefore this is ready to share with the full council, or do you need to make any edits to it before we
No, I'm ready to put it out for discussion.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think the motion is to work through that. It's based on Gary's framing, right? And I'll just say again, I'll offer my colleague Shannon, who I'm sure will be willing and happy to take a look at the documents as well. And so you can count on us to be a second set of eyes.
I'd also like to amend my motion to say that this letter be drafted in time for the comment period.
Okay, is that amendment seconded?
Second.
Second, okay, so let's vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion's been amended. All in favor of the motion to pass?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Eric, for your work on this.
You're welcome.
Okay, Habs. That's Dan and Rebecca.
Go ahead, Dan. Why don't you give your update and then I'll just put a period at the end.
Okay. Yeah, so we know we had the big HAB last summer, late summer, early fall. We all since then, I guess just two updates. One is that Carey Institute's ongoing monitoring, even through the winter, had detected very, very low levels of cyanotoxin still in the water, which was a new result based on their long-term monitoring. Nothing of concern health-wise or anything like that, but just scientifically interesting that there was some residual evidence, still evident. And then in the last month, there was I think three different spots on the Hudson that where there were observations of diffuse shoreline HABs. Statsburg, which would be the most of interest here because it's closest to our intakes, also Sleepy Hollow and Yonkers. Yonkers is the place where there's actually been the longest, several observations over time, including up till last week. So again, these are all diffuse shoreline, not like a, red light of concern, but it's unique, I believe. I mean, back in 2016, when the Wallkill had a big bloom, Riverkeeper did a lot of monitoring on the Hudson and trying to really look at shoreline conditions, see if there were evidence of HABs, and there just weren't really. So it seems to my assessment, not is that this is a new or unusual phenomenon to have seen even the shoreline evidence early in the season. So I just think it's just important to continue. I know the monitoring is ongoing at the treatment plants and it's all been non-detect, I think, right? So that's good. So that's kind of, I think good proactive effort by the plants with the health department in that regard. And I think all of us should just be, aware to, if we're out in the river anywhere, to report what you see, use the DEC's reporting tools. I think Rebecca put information on the Hudson 7 website. It's at the DEC website. You can find a Riverkeeper. It's all over the place. Just so we're, especially in the next month or two is when we're moving into the higher risk season. So I think that's all I have to say about it, Rebecca.
Yeah.
No detection in Hyde Park.
Yeah, good. I think no detections anywhere that I've heard, which is good. Which we shouldn't have. And let's keep it that way.
Oh, raw water non-detection.
Yeah.
So Andy has his hand raised, and then maybe we could hear a little bit about any updates from water treatment plants that are doing monitoring right now and what they're finding.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Dan, I just had a question for you. Your update is timely. I was just discussing the issue of HABs with Ella Cataviani in her office earlier this morning. Are you aware of any model municipal laws or programs at the local level that can help address HABs that you would recommend that municipalities consider?
Nothing comes to mind as a resolution, but let me get back to you with some more time to think. I think, as I think you're aware, the Ulster County Water Quality Committee had a presentation a month ago about the Wallkill Rivers efforts, the alliance there, where they're sort of doing the same more or less the same observations we all might do, but with extra training and extra tools from the DEC. So that is one option that's waterway focused. So if there's a particular waterway of concern, we could, adopt those extra protocols. It's something that Riverkeepers talking about trying to, maybe try to build a network of shoreline monitors in the Hudson here for the park properties and do that maybe, in an ad hoc way this year and bridge to the more formalized way next year. But Beyond that, Andy, I'll get back to you and think if there's another thing. It tends to be pretty waterway specific when there's interventions. In general, anything that reduces phosphorus is usually the one knob that can be turned to try to reduce the risk. So, fertilizer uses on lawns. I think Rockland County has a fertilizer use law that might be worth looking at. And there might be some other examples like that I could try and dig up for you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we're aware of the Walkdale River Watershed Alliance program, and are just looking to provide whatever other additional support or guidance we might be able to some of our localities that are struggling with this issue. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for raising that.
Jonathan, do you have any updates on routine microcystin monitoring? I know
Yeah.
Nick did too, but he's not here tonight.
Sure. Hyde Park Regional Water Plant has had at least one test done so far with the New York State Health Department, and the raw water indicated no microcystins in the raw water, which aligns with what Dottie was saying before about the City of Poughkeepsie Water Plant.
Correct. We actually just got our second results today. So right now we're testing every other week as long as it's non-detect. If there's reason for concern, we will increase that monitoring. But I just received it right before I came to the meeting, and we are 2 weeks now non-detect.
Yeah, I feel like I should say about the Carey Institute detects that was using some massive volume of water and distilling it down and then being able to detect. So it was looking at concentrations much lower than could be detectable. So that just to draw that line between those dots.
Do you know if Carey Institute was testing for phosphorus in the river last summer when we had the event, and anybody was? Interesting to know what the phosphorus levels were back when.
Yeah, I forget.
Oh,
I can get back to you. We are now gathering that data routinely, Riverkeeper. So we'll have that ongoing, but I think we only had a couple of data points for that year because we were just starting that expansion of the water quality monitoring. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Rebecca, was that all, or did you have something you wanted to share on the screen?
Nope, that's it. I shared just so the public is aware that we have both spill information and HAB information for anybody who wants to make a report right on the front page of our website. So if any of us forget where it is, we can just send everybody to the front page where there are links, helpful links.
Okay. So we have about 10 minutes left. Did we kind of talk about the leachate rulemaking earlier? Is there anything else you want to rehash on that? That's the last item under old business.
Yeah, there is one other thing for you all to consider. So just to set this up, Jen Epstein and Rebecca have done this massive research and have uncovered what I can say I never knew, what I suspected but never knew. And so it gives us, I believe it gives us an opportunity. The other assumption I'm making in bringing this new information to you today is that the Hudson 7 is not only interested in preventing new pollution to the Hudson, but also reducing existing chronic pollution to the Hudson. So that's the basis for what I'm delivering now. So the other thing I need to say is that the watershed, as defined in the DWSP2, which I did not work on over these past several years, is relatively small in terms of the entire estuary. And so some of the locations of leachate sources that I'm about to give you are outside the bounds of the current draft, or I'll call it a draft DWSB2. But I'll remind everybody that the salt that Dottie found in the intake is a free tracer experiment. The salt is in the Atlantic Ocean, and we had it at the intakes at Poughkeepsie. So whatever contaminant is totally in solution, like salt, can reach Poughkeepsie from the southern extreme of the river the other thing to remember also is that during big storms like Irene's or spring freshets, when we have a massive amount of sediment coming out of the Mohawk River, we've seen it down to Poughkeepsie, and you've had to modify I believe I remember you had to deal with extra sediment in your intake. So what I'm bringing those up, I'm not suggesting a change in the DWSB2. I'm not at all, but I just, for the reality check for us, is that everything upstream of the Hudson 7 will ultimately come down if it's in solution. And everything south of the Hudson 7, if it's totally in solution, can come up.
John, can I just comment on this? Because it's an important point about the DWSB2, and you're right, everything you're saying. Just to remind everyone, the group working on the DWSB2 specifically wrote into it, we can't define which contaminant from which distance is going to be relevant and which part of this watershed is going to be relevant. Therefore, the mapped areas are management zones, not zones of influence or zones of relevance. So it doesn't preclude us from being concerned about a contaminant that's outside of the zone. It's just to say a plan needs a focus for who can act within it. And that's why those zones are there. So
that's a great clarification, and I appreciate it. And I think that's important for us to all have that distinction. One is kind of a county line, and the other is the real universe we live in. So what Jen and Rebecca have turned up is that again, they've looked at the entire state, but I'm gonna read you the leachate that's being delivered to the sewer plants in some communities bracketing the Hudson 7. So starting very far north, City of Hudson is 130.5 thousand gallons per year. Catskill is 500,000 gallons per year. Saugerties is tiny at 25,000 gallons per year. City of Kingston, which of course is right close to the Esopus intake and the Rhinebeck intake, is 3.9 million gallons per year. Call it 4 million. City of Poughkeepsie is 185,000 gallons per year. And City of Beacon is just over 1 million gallons per year. And so the grand total of those is 5,780,000 gallons a year of discretionary poison that is being discharged into the Hudson. And so I was thinking that Hudson 7 should, gently and respectfully and politely reach out to the mayors of these communities and suggest that we have a conversation about the discretionary discharge of this leachate, which is poison, into a reach of the river that is intimate with the Hudson 7. It's a little outside the management boundary, as Dan described, thank you, but it's well within the reality of what reaches the Hudson 7. And I think that I would suggest that we don't know whether a conversation with these communities would be successful, but it's certainly worth a try, and it's a conversation that's never happened before, and it's only made possible because of the existence of the Hudson 7. So I would propose that you all agree that we reach out to these communities and say, let's talk about this.
John, I have a comment on that. Given my ability to talk to the mayors that are in our area here, Kingston, Beacon, etc., I would like to propose that the council let me reach out to those individual mayors and I can call them at any time because we're on a Rolodex with each other. And I have constant communication with both of those two on a lot of occasion, and start the dialogue and see if we can set up a meeting and start building from here and then try to build out.
I'm of course happy with whatever the council decides to do. I don't, I think any personal relationships are great to leverage, but I personally don't think there's any reason to wait to send a letter to, let's say, Beacon or Hudson, Catskill, etc., and say, we'd just like to have a conversation about this issue.
Yeah, and what I'm proposing is I will reach out to Kingston and Beacon especially and say, listen, we want to have a conversation and start working on getting that set up with them and start building it out.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever you guys decide. I think it's something to work on. It's and we'll see how far down the road we can go.
Yeah.
If we could eliminate 5.7 million gallons of poison being discharged into the Hudson a year, I would say we get a free beer.
Gary,
Maybe two beers.
Gary, are you proposing reaching out as mayor of the village of Rhinebeck or as chair of the Hudson Seven?
Both.
So do you want to, should we have a motion then to permit you to do that? I'd like to make a motion to authorize Gary as chair of the Hudson Seven to reach out to any mayors in the region to have this conversation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that?
There are supervisors involved as well, if you want to include those based on what John just laid out, unless Gary.
Well, send me the list and I'll start reaching out to all of them. I don't know if can go as far as, like I said, my thought was to build out from here. And if I can get Beacon and Kingston aligned and then start reaching up to Catskill and Hudson afterwards, but I would like to start locally within our boundary and then start building out from there.
Yeah, Poughkeepsie's right in the heart.
Excuse me. Poughkeepsie, Beacon, and Kingston, I can reach out to at any time and start the conversation.
Another just point of discussion, I think the phrase in the DWSB2 is something about the Hudson Seven being model watershed stewards and then, looking out. So I think that approach makes sense from that perspective too, start close and then model the action that you want.
Yeah.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you, John.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
thanks,
good.
John, and Rebecca and Jen for doing all this work. I mean, we know, our focus is always, we don't want it in the river. So that's the main mission that we have to stay on, is that we need to stop this from coming into the river.
Amen.
Okay, I know we're at time, so we can be quick, I guess, with reports. I don't think Mike or Paige are here with us tonight, right?
No, but I have an update if you'd like one.
Please.
There's a new updated draft of now the Hudson 7 DWSP2. There was a new draft. We've met with Mike and Paige to the DWSP2 committee to give some feedback, and now there is edits that have been made, and Mike and Paige are requesting that the group that met with Mike and Paige last week review the changes, the language based on our conversation, and to have it ready to submit to the state, hopefully for the final time on July the 24th. However, Mike is asking for they want to submit the new report with our comments by July 24th. Mike is asking for our comments and feedback by the 17th. So I don't know, Dan and others, if you saw that, but I think it's a pretty light lift at this point to be able to respond and to get that back. I can make sure and send around a reminder if you'd like to the group.
Yeah, I think his update just came out today, so I personally have not had a time to read it either.
No, we have time. We have another 10 days or so to review and provide any additional feedback. So I can distribute that around. But we're we're moving forward. So that's it for the DWSP2.
Well, Rebecca, why don't we set up another meeting real quick? Try to get something on the table for everybody with Mike and Paige and Dan, you and I or whatever and Devin to, put some comments together and then we could respond.
Well, we did, and Mike has actually taken all of our comments and integrated them into the new report.
I know we have our last meeting, yes. I thought do we need another meeting is my
I
question.
don't think, it's up to you. I don't think we do. I think we just need to review the language
Okay, all right.
that he's created based on our feedback.
Oh, all right. Okay.
If you want to do that, and then if you feel like you all would like another check-in, we could definitely do that. But I don't know if that's necessary
Okay.
at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check back in with you, Gary, on that after you read it.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet either, but I'll take a look, and if something major comes up, we can meet again, but I think it's probably fine. All right, thank you. For the strategic planning committee, I don't have a major update. We haven't met since our last full council meeting, but I will say that I've been participating in the Hudson River Watershed Alliance capacity building cohort, which met today. And they basically have a consultant, Hannah Miko from River Network, who has been guiding us through this process, and she has offered to meet with the strategic planning committee to help guide us through some exercises. So I think I'm going to take her up on that, and I'm going to reach out. I'm going to ask Rebecca to help me schedule a meeting that will work with everyone who's on that committee, and hopefully we'll have a more robust update from that committee come August. Lower Sopus Creek, Paul. You're muted, Paul. Oh.
I'm looking at minimum flows in the Esopus, lower Esopus from the reservoir, the Shokan Reservoir to Saugerties. And New York City over the last, for 90 years, told everyone that they could not discharge any water from the Shokan Reservoir. And finally, in 2013, they agreed to discharge 10 in the winter and 15 in the summer. 15 is the minimum flow that ever happened in the Esopus. So before the dam was built. And right now, New York City takes 400 to 600 gallons a day. So I took a look at 4 major studies, and as I said, New York City's winter requirement is 10 MGD. These studies range from 15 to 40, which is like 1.5 to 6 times what they're looking at. And in the summer, where they want to give us 15, all the experts are saying 47 to 120 million gallons a day. Now, the reason why the Hudson Sevens should be concerned about this is to prevent HAB and also to keep the salt front away from us. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Paul. Dottie, do we have any further updates from the water treatment plant?
Yeah, we met on Monday and we have a tentative possible date for a training class for operators right now, which might be in October 14th. And we're going to, the salt front model will not be done in time for us to discuss that specifically, but we are going to stick with salt front as a topic, as well as some of these other things that we're talking about, and then end the day with a discussion on how we're handling these different topics that each individual. And we also had a good discussion on safety training and what we're using, so it's definitely.
I'd just like to add to this that I thought the meeting was excellent because people like Jonathan and Nick shared a lot of information about training opportunities and how to run their plants and things like that, which was great information for every operator. And I'd really encourage you to get your operators to attend these meetings. Rebecca's doing a fabulous job. And it's kind of like a dream come true for me because everybody is working together to provide the best water we can. So it's been a great committee.
Andy, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. I'll just piggyback briefly on Paul's update about the Esopus and share something I'm putting in the chat right now from one of our partners on the Esopus Creek, Christy McDonald, the director of Hudsonia, is hosting a community water quality monitoring day this Saturday, the 11th, from 10 to 1 in Marbleton. So if you want to do something fun, you want to cool off a little bit, get outside. I'm sure she would appreciate the volunteers for this community effort that's going to help inform management on the Esopus Creek moving forward.
Thanks, Andy.
I have one thing to add to the water treatment plant committee update, if I may.
Yep.
So just so all of you are aware, this training that we're doing that's specific to Hudson 7, there's also 2 other trainings that I'm going to be sending around. One is thanks to the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, Jonathan has opened up 5 spots. Jonathan, I don't have the topics right in front of me, so if you want to just state what they are, you can, but just for Stuart's benefit, who's there from Lloyd, because we would love to have someone from, it's difficult because everybody's working 24/7, 365 days a year on water, but we would love to have you there. There's a lot going on that would be a benefit for your community. But Jonathan is sharing an opportunity for water treatment operators at his facility, and there may be credits. They're looking into that. And the AWWA is doing a training, which is, you would find on the AWWA website at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility, which will also share to our water treatment plant. So there's a lot going on with trainings, and it's nice that the Hudson 7 is um, in the middle of it here. And Stuart, we would welcome any representative that you might have that can even inform Adam if he's not able to attend. They occur on the first Monday of every month at 10 in the morning, and we would welcome you. Thank you.
Thanks. If I could just put out thank you, Rebecca, for the intro, Dottie for the intro. Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority does annual training for safety, where we stop everything and half the team goes in one day, the other half goes the other day. This is in addition to our regular monthly and quarterly trainings. This year, we're going to be focusing on PESH standards for electrical safety and HAZCOM. We have 5 slots on August 11th and 5 spots on August 12th. We offer those spots to our partners across the Hudson Valley, Hudson 7, to send their staff. Last year, I think it was Town of Poughkeepsie sent individuals to our training, which was on excavation, using the boxes that we use to keep those teams safe in the ground, and a couple other MPT and whatnot. So it'll be August 11th, August 12th. Rebecca, I'll send you the sheets again once we have the continuing education credits figured out with the state, and make that available to the other Hudson 7 members. No cost, just show up and take the class. Right.
Jonathan, you're great. Appreciate it.
Okay. We are 10 minutes over, so I apologize. If anyone has to hop off early, I won't be offended. But if we can really quickly, there's 3 items under new business. So IBM discharge, John?
Yeah, it's similar to the discussion on the leachate inputs. IBM is not far from the Poughkeepsie intake and the Lloyd intake, and they have processed water. Riverkeeper looked into this years and years ago. I think it would be a great conversation to have with IBM Poughkeepsie and say, again, friendly conversation, come talk to us, bring your permits, bring your data, and tell us what's being discharged into the Hudson, and see if it's compatible with a drinking water source. And just, again, similar to the leachate conversation, just see what the story is. I know that it's close enough that on a flood tide, whatever is being discharged reaches the Poughkeepsie intake on a single tide. So it's for the future. a consideration for the future. In that class of my thinking now is let's revisit the known sources of pollution using the Hudson 7 as the nucleus, and let's start to have conversations with the communities or the businesses that are putting that pollution in the water and see what we can do about it.
Can I add to that just briefly? So every year, DEC is supposed to update every water pollution permit every 5 years under the Clean Water Act. In reality, they sit around for, a long time usually, and then eventually they prioritize and get them updated. So IBM's is going to be updated soon. It's number 5 on the list for the Albany permitting staff this year. They just put out the list. So I think it's timely. I think we could also, I would add, talking to the DEC permitting staff as well to get on their radar, make sure that the Hudson Seven's interests are sort of incorporated in that process, because they will be doing a full review of the permit.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. And, just chisel away at these things.
So, Gary, what are your thoughts on this? Is this just on our radar at this time, or is there some action we should take?
I like what Dan's comment said is I think we should reach out to the DEC and try to leverage what they're doing and work collaboratively with them.
And first step would be to find out what's being discharged. So the DEC could tell us what the trouble is. The DEC is going to tell us what the permit allows in the way of discharge, and IBM's self-reporting would tell us what's actually being discharged. And so both of those would be very important for us to understand, so that we aren't underappreciating the pollution or over emphasizing the pollution. There's a difference between what's permitted and what's actually happening often. So I would think a letter from the Hudson 7 to IBM and a letter to the DEC could be the same letter saying we're drinking this water and we'd love to know what the permit allows and what's being actually discharged. And then we'd like to discuss in light of the fact, and Dan, you're right on it. It's really great that you're on this. In light of the fact that the permit will be reviewed in the not too distant future, we want to have the discussion before the review. It could be the same letter to IBM and DC, and that way it's all above board.
John, would you be willing to prepare a draft that Gary and I could take a look at, and then with Rebecca's assistance, we could send out?
With Dan Shapley's help.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
All right, I make a motion to have John and Dan work on a draft that Gary and I can review and send out under the Hudson 7.
Thank you.
Second, any further discussion? I know it's late, but I saw Anna come back on camera, and I just wanted to make sure if Anna had something to say that you did.
Oh, no, this has been really informative. And if I can help get in contact with anybody, or if you need any like contact info, I can help provide that and also send notes to people.
Yeah, I think in this case, I have the good relationship with the permitting staff in Albany, so I think I know who to get it to, and they'll listen at least.
Yeah.
We also really appreciate your support.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure about IBM right this moment. They're getting ready to put $2.5 billion of quantum on the Poughkeepsie side, so they're kind of running around now. So we'll see what they have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you again, John. Seeker review, Rebecca?
Yeah, so this is in response to last month and the Common Census group and our discussion about wanting a policy for seeker and developments that is in sync with our DWSP2. And I started doing some research, some policy research. And Dan, I wondered if you had mentioned, I know that Riverkeeper has some great work on this stuff for your own intake. And if there's any possibility you were going to check to see if we could take a look at the methodologies that you already have.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to, ask anyone, but I'll get you something that we can work off of.
I think that would be a great model for us.
Yeah.
Just to include into what we're doing, and the framework is just to help the Hudson 7 move forward with what will be a much larger policy than what we're used to, I think. So, but it's a great thing for you to do, and to get it done, in the next 3 to 6 months. It would be a great goal. So that's that.
Intern?
So Riverkeeper's got a couple interns coming from Bard Center for Environmental Policy, one of whom planning to work with Rebecca and Gary on a work plan that will help to do work. So I think we have some ideas, but we haven't kind of connected on that, what the focus of the intern's work will be, but we'll, I think, do that shortly. And that's it's like 30 hours a week, late August through mid-December. So it's a significant amount of time. Yeah.
Right, and so the council will, based on, so Dan, will we propose some ideas for an intern to do work, or do you have a very specific idea that you just want to bring to the council at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it does need to be something I can manage a little bit. So,
Me too.
yeah, let's see, when is our next meeting?
August,
Why don't we, yeah, I think that'll be time enough. Why don't we propose like focus areas for the, work plan, and then distribute that ahead of the meeting and make sure that everyone's on board with that as the kind of focus.
perfect.
Try to do my best in connecting the dots on sort of like capabilities of the student and our needs, and with Rebecca. So
Sounds good.
great.
I think that's the next meeting, Dan, is the 12th of August, so.
Okay, I think that'll work. Then we'll have it discussed and approved here before she starts.
I
Her name
know.
is Paula.
Great plan.
Last name. I'll get it by next time.
We met Paula, I think, during the Riverkeeper event, is that right?
Yes.
Yep. I don't know what her pronouns are, she, her, they, I don't know, but wonderful. I look forward to working with Paula.
Yeah.
Ben, could you state that how long you have the interns for again?
It's a semester, so it's
Okay.
starting late August and then running into mid-December. And Andy, as a side note, I want to connect you and the other to this program, because they're looking more for opportunities to land students with good. And we've got enough. I think that would be great to
Right.
offer some support for all of you and your program.
That would be welcome. And I think, just in thinking about this, I think it's great you're open to getting some feedback from the Hudson 7, and the more we can think about what the synergies look like between the Hudson 7's goals and the goals of its members and Riverkeeper's needs, that could be really powerful partnerships. So thank you for making them available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Water Authority also be interested in the interns.
Yeah. Policy interns.
All right, any last minute comments? Thank you all. Sorry this ran late.
Great meeting.
Adjourn. If I need a second. So adjourn. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Devin, for running the meeting. And just
Yeah.
FYI, I'm still on hold for baby watch down here.
Okay, good luck.
Version or like a real life?
It was in the news.
I have, but
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Gary.
I email.
Yeah.
I'll try